Hello, everybody, and welcome to. Oh my god, my hair is still ridiculous right now. I took a shower like an hour ago. Welcome to the D-Pad Patreon Hangout. Wow, that's way too bright on my face. D-Pad Patreon Hangout for the end of November 2023. I'm going to try to do this real quick while we're in here. Hello, hello. I realized, like, right as I hit the button, I was like, oh, I didn't actually check my lighting before hopping in. That was a mistake. Let's quickly throw something on here, and we'll be good to go. Let's go with. Oh no, that's way too dark. Give me something a little brighter. A little brighter. It's too bright. This is great. It's great. The process is great. Oh, this shadows and everything. Oh my god. One day we'll get the lighting situation in here fixed. I figure at some point I'll probably grab some more. I have two standing lamps and one desk lamp, and I have more colored lights. I would at some point I have to actually just show what. So maybe, you know what I'll do? I'll take a picture of it and show it here. Hang on a second, because we have lights like installed into the room, but unfortunately, here we go. I'll take a quick picture there. Okay, yeah. So we have a set of 4 lights that are installed into the room on the ceiling. The problem is those things use really tiny bulbs that are not unscrewable, and also like the whole thing doesn't even fit regular bulb sizes, so like none of my colored like I have to literally find a new light solution altogether and wire them in and then test them in various ways so we don't blow, a breaker fuse or anything like that. But alas, welcome to the monthly Patreon Hangout. Hope everybody in the States had a good Thanksgiving. Hope everybody outside of the States had a good week. It is Friday. It is Friday night, or perhaps early Saturday morning, depending on where you're coming from. I think the earliest... Wait, because the Dateline... Where is the Dateline? Dateline's in the Pacific? So yeah, the earliest it could be. If we had anyone coming in from like Hawaii, it might be like Friday afternoon. Otherwise, everybody is either Friday night or Saturday morning at this point. I guess if C-Dude comes in, it's probably like Saturday afternoon at this point. I can never keep it. I think Australia is supposed to be like 16 hours ahead. Something like that. It's be like Saturday afternoon. That's the trick. If you want to have a long weekend, 11. Oh, I was so close. So close. In 16 minutes, it'll be. Wait, do you have a half-hour daylight savings where you are, or do you have a 30-minute time zone compared with most others? Half-hour time zone. Ooh, that's got to be fun. And definitely not a huge pain in the ass anytime you have to figure out times with anybody else. Awesome. So 16 minutes. So I was close. Well, 15 now. But hello. Oh my goodness. Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully it was at least a plus 9.5 or plus 10.5 for DST. Okay, because for here in the Eastern U.S. and the Eastern time zone, it's -5 or -4 during daylight savings. Yeah, -4 during daylight savings. So we're basically 14.5 apart then. Or am I thinking that's 16? Maybe Japan is 16. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Actually, no, that they're probably almost the same time zone. I'm gonna look up time in Japan. Time in Japan is currently 10:15 a.m. They're actually an hour and a half behind you. But regardless. Oh, something got... Whoop, hang on, let me switch. I'll switch over here so I can actually see the other one. Oh, I didn't see what the other thing was either. Oh no, I've got live chat on the side over here. I don't know. I wish that there was a way. I don't think there's a way to set the chat thing for in the stream to use live chat instead of top chat, which is annoying. Oh, that might do it. Yeah. Anything that uses like links, there's a good chance that it'll automatically flag. It's a pain in the ass. I keep hoping that like I desire strongly for YouTube to not go anywhere since we have like 11,000 videos on here, and it would be the world's greatest pain in the ass to tediously and laboriously re-upload stuff from almost 13 years up till now. But I really, really wish that like some. I'm just saying, like the number of issues there are with YouTube have just been like increasing over the years, and their neo adpocalypse thing they're doing right now is just another element of that, which is not great. I don't know. I wish that there was another alternative. Twitch is okay, but their insistence on not storing anything is like a massive pain in the ass, and nobody else has the server space to handle it in the first place. So like, I don't know. It's a big mess. But regardless, yeah, we are back from a big end of summer, start of fall. I don't want to say rut. Rut's not right. Sarah and I moved. That took up a lot of our time. Basically from July through October, there was just a huge amount of stuff going on for like that full 4 months. And we're just kind of coming out of it now. Maybe the last like week or two, like November has been kind of, yeah. And that's been like partly due to, my own schedule, partly due to other people's schedules. End of the summer, start of the fall tends to have a lot of stuff going on. I know, for example, that John gets really busy as things get into the fall because he does stuff. He does a lot of work, in and around Salem, Mass, which tourism and stuff picks up a lot as you get close to Halloween. And same thing for Peter, who does a lot of work with King Richard's Fair or at King Richard's Fair. And that runs through like the midsummer to basically Halloween. Basically, Halloween is when that tends to wrap up. So did my best to keep some of the content going, particularly the open world stuff. Open world games are big enough that it's easy for me to just grab them and just do stuff and not worry so much that people are not that other folks who might want to join in are not like missing out on anything significant. And I was actually talking with Jeff. I think it was Jeff, might have been Peter, might have been both, about this last week, which is like, yeah, I'm definitely feeling like I'm enjoying Tears of the Kingdom quite a bit. I think I'm enjoying it more than anybody else on the channel at this point, which is fine. Some of it has to do with a feeling of repetition compared with Breath of the Wild. Some of it has to do with like just how much stuff spread out so widely across the world. And that's the thing. Yeah, like I am enjoying Tears of the Kingdom, but I'm definitely feeling open world fatigue. I remember after Breath of the Wild, I distinctly remember saying, man, I hope this was good. I hope the next one isn't open world like this. And I think Tears of the Kingdom is fine. I think it's very, very good. I think in some ways it feels like it was originally like a really big DLC that they wanted to do for Breath of the Wild, and then they changed their minds. And then they expanded on it and did more stuff with it, obviously. But between Tears of the Kingdom and Sonic Frontiers and Pokemon Legends Arceus and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which we're only getting a few weeks off from, December 14th, we're going to be coming back to that. I really... Actually, I just realized that I need to update. I put out our credits, our in-video credits update, and I think Brawl is going to wind up being held off a little bit longer. I had it in there as starting in December, but I think we're going to hold off on that. The kind of stepping a little bit forwards for discussion later. When Ocarina and Majora wrap up, I think Tuesday is probably going to be Pokemon Scarlet Violet as we had done before, and I think Thursday is going to be Persona 4 until, or do I just so the idea being that when Scarlet and Violet are over, we'll get back into doing Kirby with Brawl, But I'm kind of wondering if it's better to just have Persona 4 start on Tuesdays and then not move it. Maybe that's the better idea. I think it might just be the better call. Um, yeah, no kidding, right? Like, I hope the next one's not open world, and so they literally give you two. They double the size of the landmass and to give you sky islands on top of that. So it's like, hey, you want to play Breath of the Wild and Breath of the Wild Spelunky Edition and the Wind Waker all at once. So just tons and tons of stuff there. I enjoy it though. There's not like a lack of stuff to do. Um, but yeah, there's just so like we today. Today was what episode 130, and we've only done like half of the game, and I'm like, I'm not gonna be like gung ho about 100%ing the Breath of the Wild, Breath of the Wind, Depth of the Wild. Nice, yeah, exactly. Uh, uh, Brett, I'm sure we made a breadth of the wild joke a long time ago, but that is certainly what it feels like. Um, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot going on there. Oh, I had somewhere I was going with that, and I completely forgot. That's okay. Uh, but yeah, I like we are. I'm not going to. I'm not going to stress trying to like 100% Tears of the Kingdom. I think they've already stated that Tears of the Kingdom is not going to be getting DLC. So when all is said and done, when we come down to the end of the game, I'm going to wind up just finishing it off in streams shortly after we're done, rather than waiting years and years to finish it. But like obviously, I'm not doing anything to do with. I'm not focusing on anything to do with Koroks while we're doing Let's Plays. That can be its own stream thing later on. That's not something I'm concerned with. Missions I'm like generally trying to do and stuff like that, and yeah, that's the thing is I think once we start cracking into Lurelin, we're gonna basically try to do Lurelin and I assume Zora's Domain in one long stretch without too much distraction. Also the side content is good for times where I am doing it solo and I do need to kind of make kind of filler content in some capacity. Like it's non-plot content more than filler. Like it's all stuff that's there to be done, but there's plenty of things to check out. And I had mentioned before that after the third phenomenon, I think the thing that is going the two things, I suppose, one will be much faster than the other, but the two things that I want to focus on as in between content is the getting the geoglyphs finished, and possibly the Star Islands too. And more significantly, I think between the third and fourth phenomena, I intend to do the labyrinths, all three of the labyrinths there. Just because it does feel nice to kind of give a little bit of a breath between each of those chapters. Obviously, the space between the second one and now has been much larger than originally intended, and that's also like we've had some like pretty major size stuff in there too. Like we made the 100th episode all about the Master Sword. The 125th, it was not really intentional. It just kind of lined up that way that it wound up being, a the King Gliok situation in the depths, which I think was really cool. But yeah, there's been a lot of space there, Honestly, I think what may wind up happening as far as inventory space and all that, I do want to go back to Korok Forest to try to upgrade some slots. My shields are starting to get to be in pretty bad need of extra space. I'm finding myself throwing away completely unused shields. But in addition, weapons I'm constantly running into issues with. Honestly, all three of them I'm kind of running into problems. But if it comes down to, treasure and I'm having a hard time hanging on to it, I may start, for weapons anyway, intentionally breaking weapons just to at least, put them into the cycle downstairs as fast as I can. But also it'll give me a pretty good haul of stuff that I can kind of keep in reserve for a while. Like I don't have to go after, all of like as soon as one of those really good weapons or one of those really good shields or whatever breaks, I can grab, middling stuff and use that for a little while and not have to worry about, using up all the really, really good. Like as it is right now, I currently have two. I think it turned them into Reapers. It's the Mighty Zonite Sword with the Captain Construct 4 things. You need to pick up the weapons from the ghosts in order to cycle them out. So I was a little confused as to how it worked, as to whether it was a pool that was added to over time or whether it was literally you break a weapon and then you have to go downstairs to pick it up in order to take it out of the pool. Like I wasn't sure if it was a finite resource or if it was one that was just a selection of stuff that you had previously broken. Because if that's the case, then yeah, I gotta focus more on yanking weapons and then dropping them on the ground if I don't like them or whatever. But usually the stellar weapons are really, really good to pick up anyway. They're almost all better than. You will only if the ghost isn't currently holding one. A new weapon will only spawn with the ghost. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, so the statue, interesting. So that individual specter, once it's holding something, won't hold anything else until you remove that. Interesting. Oh, you can just pull out with the Ultra Hand. I didn't think about I hadn't thought of that. That does save a bit of time there. Yeah, I'll have to start doing that so I can kind of have a better odds of. I mean, honestly, it's probably not going to come up again until after this next phenomenon is over, just because we are basically planning on going directly to Lurelin, doing all the stuff that's involved there, probably going straight to Zora's Domain. I assume it's Zora's Domain is third. I really have no reason to assume that other than just traditional order of stuff, but once we do the third phenomenon, there's probably going to be a bunch more time spent underground again, at which point, yeah, as soon as we see stuff, we'll start pulling them off of things and all of those. But yeah, it is recommended there. Okay, yeah. I mean, the rule that we've kind of gone with so far has just been anytime we finish off a chapter, we go back to Lookout Landing, and whichever story beat the folks at Lookout Landing are kind of nudging us towards is the one that we're gonna like prod at first, because it told us about the Rito village first, then it told us about stuff going on in Goron City, and then it told us about Lurelin, which is not properly one of the phenomena, but the Zora Tunic will actually help a lot. I'm curious how can you paraglide to a sky waterfall and then swim up it that way? Are you able to interact like that? Because that would be very helpful in some circumstances. Or I guess maybe it's a matter of like putting a rocket happens. Oh, okay, even better. Because I was gonna say, like, in the worst case, I guess I could build something that flies up to one, because then I'd be like standing under it or something. But okay, yeah, no, the Zora Tunic will definitely be nice. And yeah, I don't know. My real hope. I have two real hopes for a Zelda game. One, I have three real hopes. Okay, it's starting to get a little long here. One, I don't want it to be open world again. It's fine. I like the open world stuff. The real problem with Tears of the Kingdom is that Breath of the Wild made open world games so. Breath of the Wild and Horizon Zero Dawn together made open world games extremely fucking popular, all at once. Skyrim kind of was opening the door on that. See you soon, dude. Skyrim kind of opened the door to that a little bit, and then Breath of the Wild and Horizon Zero Dawn kind of kicked it open. And for the last 6 or 7 years, everyone has been doing open world games. If that were not the case, I don't think I'd mind as much that Tears of the Kingdom is also open world. The problem is so many of them have been open world now because of the last Zelda game. So I don't want it to be open world. Thing two is I really want items, proper actual items, to be back. The hand abilities I kind of like better than the runic abilities, not for their utility, because like I think the rune abilities were maybe more useful generally. Like it's really the trade-off between infinite bombs versus free manipulation of anything. Both of those are pretty nice. But I would like to have actual items again. like properly. Hook shots, iron boots, the classics. I want all of that stuff back. I was kind of hoping this game would have that. When Zelda fell into the depths at the start of the game and in all the teaser material, I was kind of hoping that like Link was going to be above ground, doing. Link was going to be above ground and using actual items and things, while Zelda underground with the Sheikah Slate was going to be doing all the rune stuff, or vice versa. And it didn't do that. And I was like, ah. Thing 3 is I would like to see them try a slightly more technical Zelda game. I had mentioned this in a previous episode. I think that them going with a really broad and loose interpretation of everything for a Zelda game, the next one needs to go the opposite direction. Make it very tight, make it very technical, make it very character and story driven, because this one, both Breath of the Wild, it's honestly, it's a big problem with most open world games, not all of them, but most. The story just doesn't have a lot of meat to it. It was the same problem that we had back in 2016 with A Link Between Worlds, where, and in some ways it's the same problem that Mega Man Battle Network 4 has, which is the more variability you allow to the overall gameplay, the more skeletal the story begins to feel. It starts to feel like nothing really matters, because it really doesn't. There's not a lot of impactful things you can do, because everything has to equally do nothing. The status quo has to remain for the whole thing. So my hope would be, like, honestly, the third thing that I would want is I want them to not take 6 years to make the next Zelda game. Zelda, up until Breath of the Wild, was a franchise that managed to feel like, I would say, like a AA franchise. Like, not AAA in the sense that, like, oh my god, this is the game, A Link Between Worlds. Like, nothing like that, but, like, they were games that felt really well made and crafted and polished, but also only took 2-3 years to make. Now they're doing AAA style development, and they're building these 100 to 200 hour experiences that take half a decade or longer to develop. And it's like, man, I don't need my Zelda game to be that big. I really don't. I want the story to feel like it's got meaning. And both of these last two games, honestly, Age of Calamity felt a little bit more like what I would want out of a big Zelda game, and it's not even a normal Zelda game. It's a Dynasty Warriors game, with a huge facelift, a huge Zelda facelift. But I don't know. I want the story to feel like it's going somewhere, and unfortunately, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, a lot of these open-ended, open-world games, it's really, yeah, that's the thing. People are buying open world games like crazy. Sonic Frontiers, I by and large still enjoy. My attitude on it goes up and down a lot over what you're going to see for the final run of the game. The open zone thing was like a nice concept, but it seemed like an idea that wasn't really fully fleshed out. And the more time went on and the more these DLCs piled on, the more artificial shit just got shoved into it. Like, they tried with the base game to have a vaguely naturalistic look to all the stuff you were interacting with. And there was a lot of stuff that wasn't very natural, but it was like believable a little bit. And then the DLC came around and it was like, let's put these like Fisher-Price, Tycho, like Milton Bradley plastic cuboids all over the islands, and that's just DLC stuff, and it's like completely ruins the vibe of the game in such a huge way. Like, it doesn't even, if it at least vaguely felt like the same architectural design of the rest of the ancient stuff, I could at least get behind that and be like, okay, it's weird, but the Chaos Emeralds are doing weird stuff. Maybe they've activated these ancient defenses and they're yada, yada, yada. It just feels so horrendously out of place. And, like, Sonic games have always played fast and loose with, like, realism with their levels. So, like, you think Speed Highway or, any of the City at Night levels from the Adventure, series, and Shadow the Hedgehog, Westopolis, all that stuff. there's a certain level, there's a certain amount of the level design that obviously is unrealistic. You're not going to have roads that spin sideways. Hello, Golux. Hello, welcome. You're not going to have roads that turn sideways and meet the sides of buildings and shit. Like, obviously, that shit is not realistic, but it at least matches the elements of the level. Highway streets, Jersey barriers, little traffic cones, and you know, no entry, you know, roadblocks and things like that. All these things make sense. And then in Sonic Frontiers, it's like, here's this big squishy rubberized plastic rectangle that you're gonna jump on and stuff. And like, it kind of felt, in some ways, the Final Horizon DLC felt like they were handed the level map of Oranos Island, but they were told that they were not allowed to modify anything. They could only add stuff, and they were not given any of the texture packs that were used to make the original island. So like, there's a lot there that, like, the base game stuck the landing, and then the DLC is them trying to do a freestanding cartwheel on the way out and breaking their ankles while doing it. Like, they could have done nothing and still I'd be like, okay, that was a pretty decent game. They could do more of something like that in the future. To now it's just like, oh, okay. You guys haven't even seen, I mean, maybe you have seen in your own time, but we have recorded the final boss. We've recorded the ending of the game already. I'm going back and recording the cyberspace levels to kind of clear out everything, but the ending of the game, as a slight spoiler, did not impress very much. It's very strange to see people online saying how much better the Final Horizons ending is, and I just don't see it. The ending feels shallower. The drama feels less intense. The story feels less satisfied. And the final boss itself just seems much less overwhelming. Yeah, and that's the thing. I thought the original ending was solid. Like, I can understand why people were upset about the Ikaruga gameplay style for that. It didn't bother me that much. But I also just love shmup, so like, I really don't. I don't mind an excuse to do that anyway. I can get why people would be upset that the final boss didn't really have anything to do with Sonic gameplay, which is fine. I do like Kirby too, yeah, and I like my Eldritch horror. You know, in some ways, Persona 3 had a similar vibe of like this massive, incomprehensible Eldritch thing, this nihilistic horror. Just the entire thing. But I guess that's true. That's true. Kirby frequently has shmups either at the end of the game or very near it, but I do need to play Nier Automata. I've heard really good things. But yeah, no, I get why people are upset about the Ikaruga part of it specifically, but the tone, the vibe of it overall, it brings the whole story together about essentially the final boss being this embodiment of oblivion, that no matter what you see it as visually, it's just a representation, either literally or metaphorically or both. It's kind of hard to tell really, but at least metaphorically, of the fact that everything does end eventually, that nothing can outlast time. And it was just this really cool concept, and you do defeat it, which like is complicated in terms of the metaphor, but also is like you're buying the planet a little more time. The implication being that the end is like superficially defeated, but not really but not really defeated. Like, you know, eventually all of them are going to die and the world will end through something, but yeah, I don't know. The new ending is really not. It's really underwhelming to me. I was not very impressed. It was weird. It, similar to the Master Coco trial, it forces you to use gameplay mechanics that the game has straight up never cared about the entire time. And it just doesn't, like, not like I need a final boss to telegraph to me what I need to do, but there was so little communication or conveyance to the player in this one. Is Drakengard 3 the one where the final level takes place in like a modern day city or something? And there's a giant face entity or some shit? I'm trying to remember if that's the one or not, but and it's like ending E or something. I don't know, but oh, great, perfect. But yeah, no, I don't know. You guys will see it next week. No matter how long the actual cyberspace levels take, the final episode is going to go up at the latest next Friday, and you'll see how that goes. I don't know. Likewise, we have started playing Sonic Superstars, and I get the feeling it's a better game to play solo than multiplayer. They've made some baffling design decisions in Sonic Superstars. It's a fun enough game, but with some real errors in judgment, we'll say, in terms of how to manage a 4-player gaming experience. Not the least of which is, man, oh man, that camera needs to be backed up about 50% of what it is right now. It's way too close for 4 players with a lot of dynamic motion. And also, they despawn you way too fast if you are off screen by a little bit. But that's neither here nor there. That's going to be coming. I think December 4th is probably going to be when that happens. And we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But I think we're about halfway through the main game right now. There's a non-zero chance that we do a second run through as a single player campaign just to feel out the difference, because right now it is just chaos. It really is just chaotic completely. Yeah, it really is. It really does feel like, it feels like a game where it doesn't feel like Sonic and 3 Tails is. It feels like 4 Tails is altogether. It's really hard to describe. Without spoiling too much of the experience of the first week or so of videos that we've already recorded, the main coding decision that has instigated this entire thing is, so it's very common in multiplayer games to have someone essentially elected by the game as the focal character. Usually it's whoever's in the front, whoever's player 1, something. It's not always super obvious. But they'll do like, King of Game, right? Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe is like not a great example of it. Star Allies is a bit better, where it tries its best to share the screen with everybody, but it will default to the first player. I think Super Mario Wonder does similar. Sonic Superstars makes the unreal decision to say that if that at any given time, and as far as I can tell, for basically no reason at all and with no visual indication really, the game just constantly decides that one of the players is the focal player. It's not player 1. It's not whoever's in the front. It's not whoever has the most rings. It's not whoever's going the fastest. There is no apparent rhyme or reason. It just decides that one of the players is the focal character of that moment, which means that there will be times where everyone's sitting together and starts to spin dash to go somewhere, and one person doesn't, and the person who doesn't has the camera on them, and the other 3 people despawn and have to spawn back in. Or 2 characters go opposite directions, or something. It's really confusing, but you'll see how that goes when we get in there. Like I said, if the camera was backed up by like a factor of 2, it would solve a lot of these problems. But it is what it is, I suppose. What else to talk about? I don't know if John's coming this weekend. his schedule should be a lot freer now that now that Halloween is up. But I have not heard from him as far as new recording time. So Diamond and Pearl, unfortunately, are kind of sitting by the wayside until we can nail them down for some more of those. Similarly, I don't know about Ben if he's going to be coming this weekend. Crown Tundra, we want to get that back moving again. Really, I think we can get through the entirety of Crown Tundra in like 2 more good sessions if we really like buckle through it. 3 if we don't. Judging by what I know about the length of the Crown Tundra, we're very close to being able to just be done with Crown Tundra. And in some ways the same thing with Diamond and Pearl. John is already on his way to the 8th gym leader. And then it's just a matter of going to the Elite 4 and then we're done. Or he's done, then I get the post game, but we'll see on that front. Let's see, Sonic Rivals 2. We don't have any more recorded right now. We might record some more this weekend. I might do some of those solo just to keep that moving as well. It's a quest involving the Dynamax adventures. In Crown Tundra. Yes. I don't know. That might be like a thing we poke at the end. I don't really know. But there is the last thing that we need to do is I think we go back to Galar and there is a final like tournament update that happens when the DLC is done. I don't believe it's anything as involved as Scarlet and Violet is going to have, which is going to have like a proper like finale in Area Zero from the sound of it. Yeah. Yep. So I think we may try one more of those on the way out. We'll see. Sonic Rivals 2. Might record some of those solo. I know Peter at least is going to be here this weekend. We're probably going to do a couple things. I don't know if Sonic Rivals is going to be in there. It might. Sonic Frontiers DLC. That one's coming to an end. I've got 3 of the. I've actually got another episode that's uploading right now. I messed up. It should have already been live by now, but I made a mistake with the file while it was actively uploading, so it had to restart. But we have a third of the cyberspace stages now completely done. 6 more to go. And then the final episode. So that'll all be happening next week. We may have either like a double episode day or something, depending on, like, I might record some tomorrow. And if that's the case, and I get a sense that we're going to need 6 episodes for 6, for the 6 cyberspace challenges, then I'll just put one up tomorrow, put one up Sunday, that kind of thing. Resident Evil 4 is finally back on its feet as well. We have another like 2-ish weeks of that before we are down to the end there. And then we got to figure out between CJ and myself how we're handling, oh my God, I was going to say Soul Survivor. That's not right. There's the Ada DLC that I think was also there for the original Resident Evil 4 as well in some capacity. Like it was like a pack in, like an extra game mode or something that was there. I just realized that I'm probably very quiet right now, but if I turn it up now, it's going to make suddenly a very large lurch in volume, so I'm going to leave it as is. But then we're going to be moving on to Resident Evil 5. Probably not until the start of the new year. We're going to have to figure out how we're doing that, like mechanically. It might be me playing with CJ joining in on commentary from afar. We will see. We'll have to figure out that. We'll see how that goes. I'm a little bit more comfortable with the more action-y style gameplay generally, so compared with the like stealth and suspense kind of style gameplay, so maybe that'll work out in the end. But we'll see. What else? Oh, Mega Man Star Force 3. That one continues. We have another like week or 2 worth of episodes there. I'm trying to remember. We recorded some last weekend, and I'm trying to remember how far into that we actually got. Oh my God, I completely forget. It's been kind of a weird week. I've been kind of like hazy a little bit in the brain after getting sick in the middle of the week there, but it feels like we're getting in the ballpark of the final chapter. We might not be there yet, but we're getting close. Yeah, we are now, I believe, Ace's brother. We're collecting brothers of all sorts. I know that the election has happened because that was a big thing that was coming up. That might have actually been the very last thing we did was the election, the student body council election thing. So that is that. But that one continues. We will hopefully have some more for we'll hopefully have some more for 2 weeks from now, whenever the last episodes that we currently have are used up. Let's see, Kingdom Hearts. We're still figuring out timing to get Unchained Key done, as well as 0.2. The biggest trick with Unchained Key is just we have to have enough time for it. We need to have Jeff here, and we need to have excuse me, we need to have enough hours that we can afford to use for that rather than anything else. And at least once that is the case, we can like get into 0.2 and start moving through that like actual gameplay. So that'll be good. I don't think we'll be recording any of it this weekend. Hopefully that'll be a next weekend thing, but we will see. We'll see where that one goes as well. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. I'm happy to say that last weekend we basically recorded the entire rest of the main game. We have not started on the Magalore epilogue, but we have gone all the way through to the final boss battle of the normal mode. So that is another week's worth of videos coming up. I have to record something as a little bonus there for next Friday, but otherwise we are done with the main game, and we will be hopefully moving on to the Magalore epilogue shortly after. And my hope would be that we can get it done in like 2-ish sessions. It might be 3 depending, just because I don't know how long Magalore epilogue actually is. My understanding was that it was basically meant to be around the same size as the main game, but it is referred to as an epilogue, so I don't know. And I think that is all of the... Oh, really? Okay, so maybe that'll be like a 2-ish session thing then, after all. Okay, all right. Yeah, I think the main game is turning out to be like 24 episodes, 24, 25, something like that. So, okay. So yeah, that'll be something we can probably wrap up fairly soon. If we can get another recording session in next week, then we'll probably have a good shot at being done with it this year, which would be nice. Same goes for Pokemon Legends Arceus. We're definitely be doing some of that tomorrow. Peter's gonna be here, so I'm sure we'll wind up playing some of that and getting further into the post game there. I think what'll likely happen is him and I will record a bunch of plot centric content for that, and then in between that session and what I would hope would be the final session, maybe not, I'll probably go and try to fill out the Pokedex for that. The medicinal leaks from the Ginkgo Guild. None of that makes sense. In my second game file, I literally just paid attention and grabbed them as I saw them throughout, and I had absolutely no issue getting 100 of them. So yeah, it's just a matter of. And honestly, if I am needing to go and fill out my Pokedex, then I may just wind up running into a bunch of them anyway. So we'll see. But yeah, I think odds are, if there's going to be episodes where I need to be filling out my Pokedex rather than doing plot stuff, that might be solo, just because it's easy to do. It's not a big deal. Sonic Frontiers will be over by then anyway, so it's one less thing otherwise on my plate that I would need to be worrying about in terms of like continuing to keep the content rolling. Also, I need to notice with bargain statues relative to the surface. I mean, it's interesting. Some of them are near or directly under springs, but a few of them aren't. Like, I was trying to figure out if there was a connective tissue for the ones that weren't underneath like ponds and springs, and I couldn't figure it out. There was one like in central Hyrule that was like kind of near a pond, and like I kind of wonder. Oh, is it that it's specifically under goddess statues? Because that would make sense as well. There's one that's in like Central Hyrule that doesn't seem like it's next to, like it's under anything, but I may have missed something. There's a pond that's nearby, but I don't know there's a goddess statue nearby. Um, which yeah, which also makes me wonder too if there's a bargainer statue that's underneath the devil statue under Lookout Landing. I don't know if I've actually checked down there. Excuse me. Fortunately too though, like once you have maps of areas, that might be the one then, yeah. They are pretty recognizable on the map. They have a very lumpy elevation to them because they have such a strange like model shape compared with everything else. So they have this kind of they literally look like poops. They look like poops on the map. I don't know if they thought of that when they were putting that together, but it looks like poops. Bunch of map poops. But yes, no, I want to at some point get that fourth ferry unlocked too, so that we no longer have like limitations on how high we can get our equipment starred. But yeah, I don't know. It's we definitely have a lot left to go. I gotta check in on some of our missions as well, but there's all the devs where I was thinking about. I mean, you got to think about poop sometimes. I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that is really worth. Yeah, I like the biggest thing honestly is getting stuff to 2 stars and getting set bonuses where the real value is at. And fortunately, most of those are not too extreme in terms of requirements. They're all pretty like reasonable requirements, generally speaking. The 4-star ones, I basically just want to get like the Berserker set or any of the armor sets that are high defense. I really want to get up to 4 stars, or honestly, like climbing would be nice too. Excuse me, my God. Yeah, I need to. There are some areas that, like, honestly, what I will probably wind up doing, probably not in time for the 3rd phenomenon, but the 4th phenomenon is, between the 3rd and the 4th, I'm probably going to look at the hero's path to get a sense of areas that I've been ignoring, or not spending a lot of time in, because I think that would be. Oh, is it really the best in the game? I mean, I guess that makes sense. It needs light dragon stuff to level up, so I'm sure it's got to be a pretty solid. Yeah, it's got to be a pretty solid jump in order to cost that much to make it work. But yeah, I did notice that previously, that when we looked at that, it wanted light dragon stuff for it. Is 5 really the highest 0-star defense? Maybe I get stuff to 1 star too quickly, and so that seems kind of low. Because I know there's like 6 and I think even 8 at 1 star sometimes, but. Oh, interesting. I don't know if it actually mentions that anywhere. That would make sense. Okay. Nice. I think in today's episode I put like a silver boss bokoblin horn onto the master sword to make it just as brutal as I possibly could. That'll be nice, especially if I'm fighting gloom enemies. But yeah, no, I don't know. Phantom armor that are higher than 5 but unupgradable. Okay, yeah, maybe that's what's got me confused then. Okay. And yeah, I want to see what some of these set bonuses are, especially for the newer things. And I do like the idea of just being able to jump up wet surfaces and not have to worry about it at all. That'll be really nice. Like, rain hasn't been as much of an issue, like, in this game generally, but not having Rivali's Gale really makes scaling stuff more difficult in a big way. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to more of that. There's a good chance that we're going to hit 200 episodes in this game, just because we're already at 100. We're already at 130. We already and we still have 2 phenomena and the last chunk of the game. I can't even call it the last chapter because I don't know. There's a lot of pieces that seem like they're involved in the last chapter, but I'm guessing the Zonai construct factory is going to be a last chapter thing, or that's going to be something that Zelda does in the past. It could be either, really, or both. I assume that the stuff going on at the Ring Ruins in Kakariko Village is going to be a last chapter thing. I wouldn't be surprised if there's something at either the Great Plateau, the Great Sky Island, or Hyrule Castle in the last chapter. Yeah, I'm very curious what's going to happen with the Construct Factory. It literally looks like we're about to go build a Golurk. Like it's got a very similar shape to a Golurk. And it reminds me in some ways of the Phantom Armor that Zelda wears in Spirit Tracks, which is also interesting considering we've been told point blank that the Zonai were constructed to sort of carry like a piece of the soul or something like that, but it pointed in various directions when you visit Pura before doing. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That there'd be a few things to try to handle there. But yeah, I mean, I assume one of those would be like you have to get like she points you at the Master Sword, which you already have. The Construct Factory would make sense for another one. Hyrule Castle would probably make sense for another one as well, though I don't know what would happen there. There's also that big pit under. I'm kind of wondering if the big pit under Hyrule Castle is something where by the end of the game we'll be able to like part the gloom in order to pass through. Because either we missed a hole or there's a hole that we have to make ourselves, right? So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be pretty solid. We're gonna keep playing it through the end of the year and into the next. Like I said, I feel pretty subtle holes, yeah. I feel pretty confident that the series will hit 200 episodes. If it doesn't, it'll be very close to 200. Just because we're at 130, we haven't even started Lurelin Village. We got Lurelin Village, we have Zora's Domain, we have the entire Gerudo Desert, and then we have the last chapter before the end of the game. And that doesn't even include labyrinths. There's a lot still to go. I mean, Lurelin doesn't have to be that long is the thing. It's just a matter of we have 2 full phenomena and more to go beyond that to check out before we're like done. But I think 200 episodes brings us into like March of next year. But excuse me, oh my goodness. Yeah. The Farron, is Farron, which area is Farron? Is it the mountains near Zora's Domain? Because that's going to be a place that we start exploring and fiddling around with more as we unlock that, like as we approach that phenomenon. Oh, the rainy jungles. Yeah, I guess that's fair. I keep mixing up that area and the Zonai ruins, which I kind of poke around with a little bit. Okay, yeah, so that's in that same kind of general direction. Yeah, that's what I keep usually thinking of that as Necluda. So maybe that's where my confusion's coming in. Zonai ruins are in Farron. Okay, yeah. Because I do remember the area in Breath of the Wild that was always raining. And that was one where even Rivali's Gale was like only so useful. It was very useful for some spots though, so that was kind of nice. Dueling Peaks East. Okay, that makes sense. And like I said before, I'm not planning on worrying about Koroks in these videos. If we find a thing that looks like Koroks, then we'll go check it out, but we're not going to like stop everything to try to hunt for them. I'm sure that there will be some stream or streams after the series is over to clear out the Koroks just to fully 100% the game. But we're not going to worry about that during the like main Let's Play. Even if I'm recording other shit going on, the only case in which I would focus on Koroks during filler episodes is if we have literally nothing to do besides go look for Koroks before the end of the game, because I would not want to initiate the final chunk of the game by myself. I would want other people to be here for that. So the only case in which I would hunt for Koroks is if that was the only thing available to do. So yeah, there'll be a lot of stuff going on there. World Basket of Medals, all the Addisons. Yeah, the Addisons are interesting. I'm kind of hoping that there's something that gives me any indication where Addisons that I haven't helped are, because that's going to be a pain. Or in the worst case, I guess there will be a tracker that I can use for that in the end. So I also wish I had any idea how far along that I was. because I do not know off the top of my head how far along we are. Um, Maybe what I'll do is after we are done recording the final boss episode, I'll just start scrubbing. I'll throw in a movie and scrub through episodes and start seeing what stuff we've already done on a tracker just to get an idea. But you aren't going to know until you get it. Hilarious. We must have done at least 10 by now. I really don't know off the top of my head, but I would have to guess we've done at least 10. Never gives you a progress report. Yeah, it'd be really nice if he gave any idea as to like how far along we were, but it's frustrating. All right, I think I'm gonna call it right here because I'm going to get set up for doing some Zelda tonight. It's not gonna be an especially long stream, but I did want to keep moving on that since I wasn't able to last night with it being Thanksgiving and me being sick. So I think, yeah, we'll get that started. That'll be in about 30 minutes, maybe a little bit less if I can get stuff put together quickly. Yeah, I think this game seems like Breath of the Wild. It felt like you had to really look for stuff to do. Tears of the Kingdom, it seems like it's a little easier to stumble into things, which is kind of nice. So that's there are 81 Addisons. Okay. So yeah, no, I'm sure that I've done at least 10, but that's not saying a lot then. Jesus Christ. Oh my God, that's so repetitive too. Like a few of them seem fine, but like a few of them have already felt really repetitive. Yeah. But yeah, cool. All right, I am gonna call it here. I'm going to yeah, at some point I might go and do paraglider changing stuff. We have enough materials for it at this point that we may as well. I think you changed that at fucking Pennywise's house, right? Yeah, a lot of times they'll put like rocks or things nearby if there's not like a hardware set of stuff there too. Live to die. Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, at some point we might play around with that. We'll see. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me for tonight. Anybody checking this VOD? Oh my God, this VOD, my fucking tongue. You can head to patreon.com/gpadfm to find out how you can join on these live. And next month's is actually going to be a public hangout. We like to have the last one of the year be a public hangout, just because it's a nice excuse to bring everybody together. That is currently being planned for Friday, December 22nd. The reason being, Sarah and I are not going to be around on the 29th. We're going on vacation over the new year. We're going to be, but Friday night, I think we're going to be on a plane. We might actually have already landed by the time that happens, but we will not be around for that on the 29th. So we're aiming for the 22nd. And I think that should be fine. Our family sometimes have like weird scheduling for like Christmas party style stuff, but I think that'll be good. Oh, there's a mini quest that gets unlocked by changing the glider cloth once. Oh, hilarious. Okay, so yeah, I'll probably have to do that at some point then. But yeah, it should be a good time. It'll be hopefully very relaxing after a complicated and stressful year. And yeah, we'll be doing this on the 22nd. It'll be a public thing, and yeah, that's about all I have to say for right now. Thank you guys so much for the support and for enjoying and watching the videos. We're doing our best to bring back some of our old stuff. Oh, as a sidebar, the sizzle reel thing I've kind of assumed to be mostly dead at this point. A lot of those things will still be coming out before the end of the year. Moving really sideswiped a lot of the momentum on that. In my head at this point, I'm still aiming to have them all reach all of those goals before the 13th anniversary in April. At the end of March, start of April. We have to figure out when it's actually happening, but that's kind of our new sort of my soft target date for a few of those things. But we'll see how it goes. We'll play it by ear. All these things will be coming back in some capacity or another. And yeah, should be a good time. So thank you guys very much. I'm going to get out of here, and I'm going to get set up for some Zelda. Cool. See you in a bit. Bye.